I've not seen such bravery.
Slender the Arrival is the full realization of the free-to-play horror sensation Slender the 8 Pages, which I never played. I'm not really well versed on the lore of Slender Man, but I decided to give the game a try anyway. Good idea, right?
What a waste of potential this game is. It opens on a brightly lit dirt road and it all looks really nice. The credits roll and the sun sets as you slowly venture down the road, eventually coming upon a recently abandoned house. We do what anyone would do in this situation and instantly invade the home, going through different rooms, picking up and keeping notes and printed out emails that don't belong to us, and generally just being a nosy Nelly. Through a few notes, we find out that this home belongs to someone named Kate, and she seems to have quite an obsession with Slender Man. The safest bet is that Kate has been harassed by the tall figure, but it's also possible that she's just fucking crazy. We also discover that our character has known Kate for a while as we briefly reminisce about playing on the swings together as kids. This part of the game is actually pretty good. It's fairly creepy and gives you bits and pieces of the story. If handled correctly, it would have been a great opening scene to a horror game. But just when you start thinking, yeah, alright, I'm pretty spooked, the game takes a hard turn from decent game road and pulls onto I should have bought lunch instead of wasting money on this game boulevard. In one fell swoop, Slender completely detaches itself from this creepy setting it set up in the prologue. When you leave the house, there's suddenly a loading screen, and you appear in what seems to be a completely unrelated location. Where am I? Where is the house? Am I the same person? I want to know why to give a fuck, but the game's head is so far up its own ass that it must not be able to hear me. From what I understand, the second chapter of The Arrival is basically just a nicer looking version of the 8 Pages. You're in a park trying to collect 8 pages that are placed in various locations because why the fuck not? That's what normal people do in parks, I guess. Now you must be thinking that these scraps of paper somehow relate to the house we were in at the very beginning. I mean, at least we could connect the two stories somehow, right? As it turns out, the 8 pages are nothing more than the scribblings of either a severely tormented individual or a 5-year-old. This one even looks good enough to be hung up on the fridge. Either way, we have no way of knowing if these pages were made by Kate. And even if they were, why did she go through the trouble of taping them up in random-ass places in a park?
Help! Somebody help! I'm being chased by Slender. Oh shit! A porta potty. Be a perfect place to display my drawing of a tree.
And if picking up these pages causes a monster to chase after me, then why am I even touching them? It's not like they contain any information. The biggest problem of this level, though, is Slender Man himself. For starters, Slender Man is not scary. I mean, let's just be honest here. He's a tall white guy. Maybe it's because I'm also a tall white guy, but I am not intimidated by this dude in the slightest. I'm honestly more frightened by the human being. At least he's got a creepy face. I guess I can't blame the game makers for this, though, since they're simply borrowing the design from internet fairy tales. But Slender Man's looks are only part of the problem. What does this horrifying creature do to torment you? Well, he stands there. Standing is scary, right? Or maybe it's supposed to be scary that he's always in the fucking way. As you're running all over this goddamn park trying to pick up papers, Slender Man keeps appearing in the distance, forcing you to turn around. It's not challenging, and it's not scary. It's an inconvenience. Now, this is not to say that I didn't get startled a few times, because I did. Most of these instances were thanks to the audio of the game more than the video. But even though I did fall victim to a jump scare or two, that doesn't mean this game is scary. I've been scared of a game before. The fear I experienced from amnesia lasted even after the game ended because I was truly afraid. The fear from the jump scares in Slender Man quickly turns into frustration because just because he's taller than you, this bitch thinks he owns the park and keeps getting in the goddamn way. The only way his behavior would be acceptable is if these drawings were his and he's pissed that I'm stealing them. If that's the case, then I'm sorry because I'm clearly the bad guy here. So enough of this level. As long as you're sure to turn around anytime your camera goes nuts, this level isn't difficult. It's more tedious than anything else. Once you collect all 8 pages, there's a brief cutscene that explains absolutely nothing, and you're suddenly in another field. Why? Why? 3 people got a writing credit in this game, and the plot is less engaging than a partially completed Mad Lib. A few minutes of wandering around brings us to an opening of a mining facility. So, after being tormented by the Slender Man in a dark park, obviously our next logical step is to venture into an abandoned mining facility. I still have no motivation for my actions whatsoever, but what the hell, we've come this far, right? A new level is like a fresh slate. Maybe the programmers decided to do something different for this setting, or maybe they decided to do the exact exact same thing. The elevator in the mining facility isn't powered on, so we have to find 6 generators scattered about the level and turn them on. Seem familiar? The difference here is that there's a new enemy pursuing you in the form of a girl with a mask on. Spoiler alert, it's Kate. This level ends up being even more frustrating than the first. Kate doesn't teleport in front of you like Slender Man does, she just continually chases you, and all you have to do is wave your flashlight at her to slow her down. Oh man, this is so scary. She never goes away, but your sprint does run out. This means that a lot of your time is spent looking behind you, clicking your flashlight on and off like a jackass as you wait for your fatigue to pass. And if she does manage to catch you, she tackles you, molests you for a second, and then runs off. Slender Man does show up a few times in this level, though he isn't as prominent as he was before. Basically, he's there to add some jump scares in the level, since this one is so incredibly boring and tedious, and also to completely fuck you over by trapping you in a corner and forcing you to start the level from the beginning. Am I scared? No. Am I interested? No. Do I want to kill myself? Yes. So, at least there's that. Initially, I stopped playing at this point, but then I figured, okay, I'll give it another chance. Surely they do something right with the next level. After turning on all of the generators and riding the elevator to the top, we're able to explore outside a bit, though there isn't much to see. After wandering around a little, we come across this building, and inside is a TV playing a video of Kate as she works on her lovely drawings. We then become Kate, and have to lock Slender Man out of our house. This transition of watching Kate on a TV to actually playing as Kate is actually pretty cool. Now that we're back in the house setting, things get a bit more creepy. I guess it's because I can relate a bit more. I've never been in an abandoned mineshaft before, but I have been in a house, and that makes it relatable, I guess. Any hopes that I had of actually witnessing some substantial horror elements are quickly crushed though, as the tired gameplay returns. Instead of finding pages or generators, the goal is to lock doors and windows.
Dude, that would make an awesome game.
But before you're able to close them all, you discover that Slender is in the house with you. Instead of leaving the house that Slender Man is currently occupying, you go back to your room to hide. Slender then shows up, doing some more of his trademark popping up behind you. Quiver in fear as he stands there. Well, we're done being Kate now, and that level we just played, which was called The Flashback, taught us absolutely nothing. Even though we're still lacking motivation, we trudge forward in the only direction we're allowed to go. A note we find tells us that Kate burned down her house, and we discover that the fire has spread throughout the forest. Smokey would be displeased. We have to run to the radio tower because apparently it's some kind of safe haven, even though it's located in scenic right in the middle of a goddamn forest fire. I think that Slender is supposed to be chasing you during this part, but I kept looking around and didn't see anyone. Then again, I was also running directly through fire, so maybe I wasn't playing the level correctly. Inside the radio tower is a charred body belonging to CR, a friend of Kate's referenced in some of the notes scattered about the levels. On the ground next to him is a camcorder, which contains some lovely screaming. Then we hear the sound of footsteps, some lights go off, and it's the end. So what the fuck am I supposed to take away from this game? I mean, what is supposed to stick with me and make me afraid of the dark for a few days, or even for a few moments? Now, I'm not that hard of a guy to scare. I can't handle horror movies, and being alone in the dark after playing Amnesia got my heart pounding. But Slender was just full of cheap jump scares. Jump scares alone should not be considered horror. Slender the Arrival would be more accurately titled as Slender and the Slightly Spooky Scavenger Hunt. The two enemies are more annoying than scary. Slender Man just keeps getting in your way, drawing out the process of collecting pages, and Kate just won't leave you the fuck alone. Perhaps the most frustrating part of this is that it looks like it could have been a scary game. Aside from a hilarious shadow effect on the main character, I really didn't have a problem with the graphics. If anything, I wish there had been more lights because the outdoor environments look great in the daylight, especially when compared with the generic environment of the abandoned mine. The sound design was the best part of the game, but it would have been much more effective if I was actually scared of what was happening on screen. Unfortunately, Slender is held back by repetitive tasks, annoying AI, frustrating game mechanics, and a lack of motives for the player. Even after taking the time to read the full story after playing the game, I was just disappointed.
If this game is going to appeal to anybody, it's going to appeal to the people that have already invested time in reading stories about the Slender Man. People that are already afraid of him. Even so, the frustrating nature of the game might not be enough to hold their attention. It's a repetitive experience sprinkled with a few jump scares with nothing of substance to really freak you out. Some might argue that $10 is not that high of a price tag, but the game only lasts a couple hours, and there are horror games out there that are just as good, if not better, that are free. I highly recommend that you pass on this game and that—
Hey.
Who are you?
I hid some of my drawings around here. You should go find them.
Why? Can't just see that I'm kind of in the middle of something? Okay.
You can't go this way.